The story often told about Eustace Conway is less a straightforward biography and more a layered cultural narrative that has grown through television, books, and audience interpretation. At its center is a man associated with wilderness living, traditional skills, and a rejection of modern convenience, but the reality is more structured and grounded than the myth suggests. Born in South Carolina in 1961, Conway grew up in a family that valued education, outdoor exploration, and hands-on learning rather than wealth or spectacle. His upbringing exposed him early to both academic discipline and the natural world, giving him a foundation that later shaped his philosophy. While some retellings exaggerate his background as purely rugged or isolated, his early life was shaped by a blend of structured schooling and extensive time outdoors, influenced heavily by family traditions in camping and environmental education. This combination helped form a mindset focused on practicality and self-sufficiency rather than romanticized survivalism. Over time, these influences evolved into a personal philosophy centered on skill, resilience, and direct engagement with the environment. Early exposure to wilderness and skill building. From a young age, Conway's connection to outdoor life was not an abstract ideal but a lived experience encouraged by family traditions. His grandfather played a significant role in shaping this direction, having been involved in early camping education programs that emphasized independence, responsibility, and physical skill development. These formative experiences introduced him to activities such as hiking, farming, animal care, and basic construction techniques, all within structured educational settings rather than isolated survival conditions. This background differs significantly from popular portrayals that suggest he simply abandoned society without preparation. Instead, he developed a skill set gradually, through guided exposure and mentorship. The emphasis was always on learning how to interact with the natural world responsibly, rather than rejecting society entirely. This grounding in practical education later became central to his work at Turtle Island Preserve, where he attempted to replicate similar learning environments for others seeking experiential education outside conventional classroom systems. Departure into a self-reliant lifestyle. As a teenager, Conway made the decision to leave conventional living arrangements and explore a more independent lifestyle in natural environments. This transition has often been portrayed in dramatic terms, but it was less an abrupt escape and more an extended period of experimentation with alternative living. He sought to understand how far traditional survival skills could be developed and sustained without reliance on modern infrastructure. During this time, he learned to build shelters, source food from the land, and develop endurance for physically demanding environments. While this period contributed heavily to his public image, it also served as a long-term learning phase rather than a finalized lifestyle choice. It reflected curiosity, discipline, and a desire to test limits rather than a permanent rejection of society. Over time, this experience became foundational to his later teachings, where he would emphasize skill acquisition over ideological separation from modern life. Public recognition through writing and media. Conway's life gained widespread attention after being featured in journalistic work that explored his unconventional choices. A major turning point came with the publication of a well-known biographical account that examined his lifestyle, motivations, and contradictions. The book presented him not only as a survivalist figure but also as a complex individual navigating between independence and societal interaction. This portrayal introduced him to a broader audience and positioned him as a cultural symbol of self-reliance and alternative living. Media appearances followed, including radio segments and interviews that further expanded his visibility. These platforms allowed him to articulate his philosophy directly, focusing on themes such as skill preservation, environmental awareness, and criticism of excessive modern dependency. However, the increased attention also contributed to the creation of a simplified public image that often overlooked the structured educational aspects of his work. Founding of Turtle Island Preserve. One of Conway's most significant contributions is the establishment of Turtle Island Preserve, an educational and environmental center in North Carolina. The preserve was designed as a place where people could learn traditional skills through direct experience rather than classroom instruction. Its structure reflects a blend of historical building techniques, agricultural practice, and environmental stewardship. The goal was not to create a permanent rejection of modern life, but to offer an immersive learning environment where individuals could reconnect with practical skills such as farming, woodworking, animal care, and construction using natural materials. Over time, the preserve developed into a nonprofit organization hosting workshops, camps, and educational programs. It became a central expression of Conway's philosophy, demonstrating his belief that hands-on learning remains essential even in a technologically advanced society. Educational philosophy and practical learning. At the core of Turtle Island Preserve is a teaching philosophy grounded in experiential learning. Conway's approach emphasizes that individuals learn most effectively through direct engagement with tasks, rather than passive instruction. Participants in the Preserve's programs are introduced to activities such as building shelters, growing food, and working with animals, all under structured guidance. The intention is not to replicate historical living conditions, but to build competence and skills that foster independence and awareness. This method reflects a broader educational critique of modern systems, which Conway believes often prioritize theory over practical ability. However, his approach is not purely oppositional. It is constructive, aiming to complement modern education rather than replace it entirely. This balance is sometimes overlooked in simplified portrayals of his work. Media representation and mountain men fame. Conway became widely recognized through his participation in the television series Mountain Men, where his life at Turtle Island Preserve was documented alongside other individuals living in remote or self-reliant environments. The show highlighted his daily routines, educational efforts, and interactions with the natural environment. Unlike more dramatic survival narratives, his segments often focused on teaching and preservation, rather than hunting or extreme conditions. His presence added a reflective dimension to the series, offering philosophical commentary on modern life and traditional skills. However, reality television also introduced tensions between authenticity and production demands. While the exposure increased awareness of his work, it also placed his lifestyle within a structured media framework that did not always align perfectly with his personal philosophy. Legal challenges and regulatory conflict. A significant chapter in Conway's public life involved legal disputes related to building codes and land use regulations at Turtle Island Preserve. Authorities raised concerns about safety standards, permits, and structural compliance for buildings used in public educational programs. These issues led to temporary restrictions on access and sparked public debate about the balance between alternative living practices and regulatory frameworks. Supporters viewed the situation as an overreach against traditional or educational experimentation, while officials emphasized safety and legal consistency. The conflict highlighted a broader societal tension between innovation in lifestyle practices and standardized regulatory systems designed for conventional structures. Although the situation was eventually resolved through legislative adjustments recognizing primitive educational structures, it underscored the challenges of operating outside mainstream institutional frameworks. Philosophy of sustainability and natural living. Conway's philosophy of sustainability extends beyond environmental concerns and into broader questions about human dependency on modern systems. He advocates for a return to fundamental skills such as food production, shelter building, and material awareness. His perspective suggests that many modern challenges stem from disconnection rather than technological progress alone. At Turtle Island Preserve, sustainability is taught as a lived practice rather than a theoretical concept. Participants are encouraged to engage directly with natural processes, gaining an understanding of how resources are sourced and managed. This approach emphasizes responsibility, awareness, and self-reliance as interconnected values. While critics may view his ideas as impractical in large-scale application, supporters see them as a necessary reminder of foundational human skills that risk being lost. Cultural symbolism and public interpretation. Over time, Conway has become more than an individual practitioner of traditional skills. He has evolved into a cultural symbol representing alternative approaches to modern life. Public interpretation of his work varies widely, ranging from admiration of his dedication to skepticism about practicality. This duality reflects broader societal debates about sustainability, independence, and the role of tradition in contemporary contexts. Media portrayals have amplified both the inspirational and controversial aspects of his life, sometimes simplifying complex motivations into easily digestible narratives. Despite this, his core message remains consistent. Meaningful engagement with the physical world is essential for balanced living. The symbolic weight placed on his lifestyle often exceeds his own framing of it. Personal reflections and changing priorities. As time has passed, Conway has spoken openly about the evolution of his personal priorities. While early life was characterized by exploration and independence, later years have introduced reflections on family, legacy, and long-term stability. These shifts demonstrate that even individuals strongly associated with alternative lifestyles continue to adapt and reassess their goals. The demands of maintaining Turtle Island Preserve combined with public attention and media involvement, have contributed to a more complex personal landscape. Rather than remaining static, his life illustrates how philosophy and practice evolve over time in response to experience and responsibility. This ongoing development challenges simplified narratives that frame him as unchanged or purely defined by early life decisions. Conclusion on legacy and misinterpretation. The legacy of Eustace Conway is best understood not as a fixed identity but as an evolving intersection of philosophy, education, and lived experience. While popular narratives often emphasize extremes, complete rejection of modern life, or heroic survivalism, the reality is more nuanced. His work at Turtle Island Preserve reflects a structured attempt to preserve and teach practical skills within a modern regulatory environment. Media representations have amplified his visibility, sometimes distorting details into more dramatic interpretations. However, the underlying message remains consistent. Practical knowledge, environmental awareness, and self-reliance are valuable components of human development. Whether viewed as visionary or controversial, his impact lies in sparking discussion about how people engage with nature and modern society, enduring questions about modern living. Ultimately, Conway's story raises broader questions about how individuals relate to technology, environment, and self-sufficiency in a rapidly changing world. His work does not provide definitive answers but instead encourages reflection on what is gained and lost through modernization. The tension between convenience and capability remains central to his philosophy, as does the belief that skills rooted in direct experience retain lasting value. While interpretations of his life vary widely, the continued interest in his story suggests a deeper cultural curiosity about alternatives to conventional living. In that sense, his influence extends beyond any single biography or television portrayal, becoming part of an ongoing dialogue about sustainability, independence, and the meaning of skill in the modern era. On your screen.